Okay, 35 was another one of the requested questions from your multiple choice packet. So we have a piecewise linear function, and we are trying to find the value of the integral from -1 to 4 of f of x dx. So again, pause and ask yourself, how do I evaluate an integral? And there are multiple answers to that, multiple correct answers. So the first thing that I trained you to think about, and we absolutely must remember, is that an integral represents an area under the curve. If I have the curve, I use that term loosely, the graph of this function, f of x, which is what I'm told I'm given, I'm probably finding area. Other things you might be thinking would be fundamental theorem of calculus. I did this in video for question number 3. That would be more when I have an actual function, and you could, I suppose, write the equations of the linear pieces of this function and then evaluate the antiderivative and plug in numbers, limits of integration, but that's going to be a lot of work. So let's see what we can do with areas in this. So I'm going from -1 to 4, which it looks like is actually the entire, pretty much the entire graph that I'm given. So I see 2 distinct breaking points here. You might be doing more. You might be thinking triangles. A lot of you do rectangles and triangles, which that's fine. But I'm going to say, let's go from -1 to 2. That is one trapezoid, I can think of that as, and the area of a trapezoid. So I'm going to start with that section. Area of a trapezoid is 1/2 times base 1 plus base 2, and then times my height. Or you might be thinking base 1 plus base 2 divided by 2, average the bases, and that's fine. So my bases in this case are my parallel sides. I've got a base of 1, that's from 0 to 1, and a base of 3 from -1 to 2. So putting those in, I've got that, and then 1/2, and then my height is the distance up, and that's going to be from 0 to 2 on my y-axis, so my height is 2. So however you want to do it from here, I guess I'm getting 1/2 and 2 to cancel each other out, so my area of my trapezoid actually ends up being 4 units, 4 square units. Okay, so now let's look at the other piece, and the other piece is this section here, and that actually is another trapezoid. So again, you might split that into a triangle and a square would be a good way to do it, but I'm going to treat it as one trapezoid. I find I make less mistakes that way. That's just my personal opinion. So again, let's take that formula. 1/2 base 1 plus base 2 times height, and my bases here are 2 and 1. Doesn't matter which one's your first and which one's your second. And then your height is right here on the edge, you can see it, or you could go right here, 1 unit, because you're going from 0 to -1 on your y-axis. So 1 plus 2 is 3 times 1 divided by 2 gives me 3/2. So I think the trap answer here, the easy one to answer that's wrong, is 5.5, because 4 plus 1.5 is 5.5. So why is it not 5.5 if that's the answer you're getting? Remember that the areas are signed areas when we're talking about an integral, and we have a positive area for our 4 because that's above the x-axis, but we have a negative area for our 3/2 because it's below the x-axis. So if I take that into account, then I'm getting 4 minus 3/2, which is 8/2 minus 3/2, 5/2, or 2.5, 4 minus 1.5. So correct answer there is B, 2.5. Hopefully that helps you to understand that question. Great question.